The first time my mom made me lie in that wooden drowning box, I was only 11 years old. It was for 44 a.m. sharp in our house in Riverside, Ohio, when she rang the copper bell 3 times and ordered us into the hallway. That was preparation morning, and it happened every single day. No exceptions. No excuses. I wore blue pajamas because blue was my assigned color. My sister Lauren, 14, wore red. My little brother Caleb, just 8, wore yellow. Each of us had a different preparation. Mine was the box. I had to lie flat while Mom pressed a soaked cloth over my face and poured water until my lungs screamed. She always stopped just when my body started to convulse. Lauren had to burn her palms over a candle flame until the blisters formed. Caleb's fingers bled every morning, 7 needles shoved beneath his nails until she allowed him to pull them out. She called it inheritance readiness. She said it was our family curse, and we had to harden ourselves before it activated thus. If we refused, the next morning's punishment doubled. The sickest part was that no one knew. Not our teachers when they saw Lauren's bandaged hands. Not my friends when I showed up with red-shot eyes and bruised ribs. Not even Dad, he worked night shifts and was never home at dawn to hear the bell or the screams. I didn't realize how deranged it was until I stayed overnight at my friend Ryan's house. His family woke up at 8, made pancakes, watched cartoons. No drowning, no flames, no needles. Just life. That was the first time I knew for sure something in my house was rotten. But things only escalated. Every birthday, our preparations leveled up. At 13, Mom made my drowning last 5 minutes, pouring salt into the water. On Lauren's 15th, she had to burn her arms, not just her hands. And when Caleb turned 9, the needles pushed deeper, 10 of them instead of 7. Mom said if we didn't do this, the inheritance would choose us instead. I tried to resist on my 16th birthday. She came into the hallway with a plastic bag instead of a cloth. I stood there shaking in my blue pajamas and whispered, "No." Her eyes gleamed strange yellow in the hallway light as her grip crushed my wrist. "The inheritance chooses its moment," she said. "We choose ours first." That night I understood she wasn't preparing us, she was afraid. But the day I turned 17, I refused completely. She froze, silent, staring at us with the copper bell dangling in her hand. Lauren's scarred fingers trembled. Caleb's blood dripped on the hardwood floor. Without a word, Mom walked upstairs and locked her bedroom door. We heard her speaking on the phone in a language we didn't recognize. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Made eggs. Kissed our foreheads. Drove us to school. But I could hear her crying at night, whispering the same name over and over, Vera. Vera? I couldn't let it go. What was this inheritance? Why needles, fire, water? Why did her terror spike when I said no? A few months later, cleaning the attic, I found a box labeled Vera 1987. Inside were psychiatric files, photos of a young woman who looked exactly like Mom, but younger. Her skin was covered in burns, punctures, scratches. Her name, Vera Raines. My mom's name is Patricia Raines. There were adoption papers too. Vera had given up a baby girl in 1987. Patricia Vera Raines. My mother. And at the bottom, Vera's journal. She wrote that every woman in the family suffered a hereditary psychosis before age 25, drowning delusions, phantom flames, needles under the skin. And she claimed she'd found a way to prevent it, controlled exposure. Torture your kids with the same sensations in small doses before the illness bloomed. Her final entry made my stomach twist. It was too late for me. But maybe not for her. Maybe my daughter's children will survive. That's when I realized Mom wasn't crazy for no reason. She was repeating Vera's ritual. But her 25th birthday was next month. And 2 nights before, I caught her standing in the kitchen at 4:43 a.m., holding the copper bell, staring at it like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Scratches ran fresh down her arms. "It's starting," she whispered. "I can feel them. The needles, just like Grandmother Vera." The bell slipped from her fingers, clattering across the tile. I picked it up, its cold weight heavy in my hand. And that was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the house made me picture Mom clawing through her skin, just like the photos of Vera. At 4:44 a.m., I went downstairs and found her sitting at the kitchen table with the copper bell resting on the counter. She wasn't ringing it. She was staring at her arms, scratching slow lines until they bled. "It's starting," she whispered again. Her nails dug deep. "They're moving inside. The needles, they're pushing out." I grabbed a dish towel and wrapped her arms. She didn't resist. That scared me more than anything. Mom never let anyone stop the preparations. Lauren appeared in the doorway, her scarred hands frozen mid-motion. She didn't say a word, just ran for the antiseptic and bandages. Caleb's footsteps creaked upstairs, but I shook my head. He didn't need to see this. Mom described the needles like she was reading straight out of Vera's journal, the length, the way they pressed against her veins, how they sang. Her voice shook, desperate. I texted Dad under the table, "Come home. Emergency." 2 hours later, the garage door rumbled. Dad never came home early. But he stepped into the kitchen still in his security uniform and froze when he saw Mom's arms, the copper bell, the bandages. He knelt beside her and whispered her name. She didn't look at him. She kept whispering about the needles, eyes glassy. Lauren handed him her phone. She'd been documenting Mom for months, photos, videos, timestamps. Everything we hadn't been brave enough to say out loud. Dad scrolled, his jaw tightening with every entry. "How long has this been happening?" His voice cracked. "Months," Lauren answered. "But this week? It's worse." Mom suddenly grabbed my wrist so hard I yelped. Her eyes blazed with a feverish light. "The needles are singing. Don't you hear them? They want out." "There are no needles, Mom," I said. "It's just the illness, like Vera." "Wrong thing to say." She yanked her hand back like I'd burned her. "I'm not Vera," she snapped. "I fixed it. The preparations fixed it." She turned to Lauren, her voice trembling. "You haven't missed any mornings. You're safe. Tell him." Lauren's scarred hands shook as she reached for her. "Mom, we need to stop the preparations." Mom shot out of the chair, knocking over her mug of tea. "No stopping." Her voice echoed through the kitchen. "It's working. You're whole, aren't you? All of you. You're safe because of me." She grabbed the copper bell and clutched it to her chest like a shield. Dad stepped between us. His voice was firm. "Patricia, the kids aren't doing preparations anymore." The silence that followed made my ears ring. Then she laughed. Not a warm laugh, a sharp, broken sound. "You don't understand. None of you do. I've seen it without preparations. I've seen the blood, the screaming. I won't let that happen to my babies." She bolted up the stairs. Dad tried to catch her arm, but she twisted free with terrifying strength. The bedroom door slammed shut. The lock clicked. Dad slumped against the wall. "I've been researching," he admitted. He pulled out his phone, search history full of psychiatric facilities, hereditary psychosis, treatment options. "She's getting worse. I've been documenting, too." He held up a notebook already half filled with his cramped handwriting. "Ethan." Caleb's small voice carried from upstairs. He was still in his yellow pajamas, clutching the railing. "Why is everyone up?" "It's Saturday." Before Dad could answer, the crash of breaking glass thundered through the upstairs hallway. We ran. Mom was in the bathroom, barefoot, gripping a shard of mirror. Her forearms were streaked with blood. They're right here, she cried. I can see them under the skin. Just one cut. Let me free them. Dad lunged and wrestled the glass from her hand. I grabbed towels. Lauren dialed her phone with trembling fingers. Minutes later, headlights cut across our driveway. It was Ryan's mom, still in scrubs from her hospital shift. She stormed inside, calm and commanding. She cleaned and wrapped Mom's arms, listened to her describe the singing needles, then pulled us aside. This needs professional help. Now. I know, Dad said. But she won't go voluntarily. Then document everything. Every episode. Every injury. Build a case. Don't wait until she really hurts herself, or you. She pressed a card into Lauren's hand. Call me. Anytime. That night, we took shifts watching Mom. She scratched at her bandages, muttering about needles. Caleb sat with cartoons flickering in the background, trying to pretend it was normal. Mom grabbed my hand suddenly, her eyes glassy but clear enough to terrify me. You're 17. Healthy. No water delusions. The drowning box saved you. I shook my head. Mom, I can't even take a bath anymore. I panic if my face gets wet. I can't breathe. She frowned. That's not psychosis. That's side effects. Small price to pay. What about Lauren's scars? Caleb's nerve damage. She looked down, whispering so soft I almost missed it. I didn't mean for it to go that far. For a moment, her face broke. Just a mother. Just Patricia. But then the glassiness returned. My birthday is next week, she said. 25. The age Vera broke completely. And I can feel it. It's starting. Her voice cracked. The inheritance has found me. And that wasn't the worst of it. Not even close. When I was little, I thought Mom's rules were just quirky. Like how she covered every clock in the house with black tape so only the minutes showed, never the hours. Or how we weren't allowed to say the number 4 out loud, because she said it carried death energy. Back then, I didn't question it. I was 6, sitting cross-legged on the living room rug, eating dry cereal from my hand, while Mom drew red circles on the kitchen calendar around dates she said were hot spots. I thought she was protecting us. But now, standing in our bathroom with blooded towels piled in the sink, I realized she hadn't been protecting anyone. She was following a script written decades ago, repeating Vera's journal word for word. Lauren and I hid Mom's glass shard in the garage trash bin, but she knew. The next morning at exactly 4:44, she sat us down in the hallway, hands still bandaged, and told us in a flat voice, the preparations must be stronger. Otherwise, the inheritance will claim you early. Caleb whimpered. His fingers were already swollen from years of needles. He tugged his sleeves over his hands, eyes darting between me and Lauren. No, I said. My voice didn't even shake this time. We're done. Her eyes flicked to mine, then back to the copper bell on the counter. She didn't ring it. Instead, she whispered, You think I want this? You think I wanted to hurt you? Vera told me the only way out was through pain. She clawed herself raw trying to stop it. Do you want that life? Lauren whispered, Maybe the pain is what makes it worse. Mom went still. For the first time, she looked almost afraid. That afternoon, I climbed into the attic again, searching for more. I found a second box under a tarp labeled with duct tape, Pat. 1998, inside were medical reports from when she was a child. Notes from psychiatrists saying obsessive thoughts about inherited illness, fixation on ritual, possible early onset. She'd been living with this fear since she was younger than me. The thought made me sick. When Dad came home that night, I handed him the papers. He flipped through them with shaking hands, then pressed his face into his palms. She's been carrying this her whole life. I thought it started after you were born. I didn't know. At dinner, Mom barely touched her food. She stared at her arms the whole time, whispering, "They're moving. They're closer to the surface now." Then she looked at me suddenly and smiled. "Your drowning box worked. You're still sane. You should be grateful." Something inside me snapped. "I'm not sane, Mom. I can't swim. I can't shower without panicking. I flinch when I hear water running. You didn't save me, you broke me." The words hung heavy in the air. Caleb put his fork down. "I don't feel my fingers anymore," he whispered. His voice cracked like a twig. Lauren shoved her chair back so hard it screeched. "We're not safe, Mom. None of us are safe. You think you fixed us, but you didn't. You just made us afraid of you." For a second, I thought Mom might strike her. Instead, she laughed again, that same broken laugh that made my skin crawl. "You don't understand. Without preparation, you'd be dead already. All of you." That night, I dreamed of the drowning box. Only this time, when the water hit my face, I didn't thrash. I let it in. My chest filled until I felt the burn of salt, the convulsions shaking me, but I kept lying there. And when I woke up, I couldn't tell if it was a memory or a prophecy. The next morning, I heard scratching again. Only it wasn't Mom. It was coming from Lauren's room. I pushed the door open and froze. She sat cross-legged on her bed, pressing a lighter to her arm. Her eyes were wet, her lips trembling, but she held her skin over the flame anyway. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted, snatching the lighter away. Her face broke. "She's right," she whispered. "If I stop, I'll catch fire for real. At least this way, I control it." My stomach dropped. It wasn't just Mom anymore. The preparations weren't her ritual. They were becoming ours. I thought Lauren burning herself was the worst it could get. I was wrong. 2 nights later, I woke to the sound of the copper bell. Not its usual 3 rings, this time it clanged over and over, like Mom was trying to wake the whole neighborhood. I stumbled downstairs to find her standing barefoot in the kitchen, her bandages half torn off, her arms bleeding fresh. In her other hand she held a bundle of sewing needles tied together with twine. "They're ready," she whispered. "The inheritance is waking. You all have to do final preparations before it takes me." Lauren appeared behind me, still in her maroon pajamas, her face pale. Caleb peeked from the stairs, eyes wide, clutching the railing like it was the only solid thing left in his world. "No one is doing this anymore," I said firmly. My voice shook, but I didn't back down. Mom's gaze snapped to me, sharp as glass. "Mason, if you refuse again, you'll drown in your sleep. You'll choke on your own spit and they'll find you blue. Do you want that? Is that how you want to go?" Her words crawled under my skin, too close to my worst fears. Dad came in then. He must have cut his shift again, still in uniform, exhaustion etched into his face. He froze when he saw her arms, the blood, the needles. "Patricia, enough." But Mom only smiled, her teeth bared in something that wasn't really a smile. "You've been blind. Always blind. You didn't see Vera. You didn't see what she did to herself. You didn't hear the screaming through the walls. She raised the bell like a weapon. But I did. I was her daughter. I know what comes next." Then she bolted for the hallway closet. I realized too late she'd hidden supplies there, candles, matches, the wooden box. She dragged them out with frantic strength, shoving them toward us. "Choose your pain now, or the inheritance will choose worse later." Lauren started crying. Caleb shook his head over and over, whispering, "I don't want needles. I don't want needles." Dad stepped forward, voice steady. "Patricia, look at me. They're not doing it anymore. It ends tonight." Something shifted in her face. Her expression cracked wide open, terror, fury, grief all tangled. "If you stop now, it'll kill them. I can already feel it moving inside me. It's spreading. Do you want your children to end up like me? For a moment, I saw her, not the monster, not the delusion, just Mom. Just Patricia, scared out of her mind. But then she screamed, a raw, animal sound, and slammed the copper bell onto the tile so hard it dented. She collapsed to her knees, sobbing. I can't hold it back anymore. It's already too late for me. Dad grabbed the needles and candles, shoving them into a trash bag. Lauren kicked the drowning box toward the door. Caleb stood frozen, shaking, until I pulled him into my arms. That was the night we made a silent pact. No more. Not for her. Not for us. But even as we dragged the supplies out to the garage, Mom sat in the hallway rocking back and forth, chanting under her breath. Water. Fire. Needles. Water. Fire. Needles. And her birthday was in 3 days. Mom's 25th birthday arrived like a storm you can see rolling in but can't stop. She'd marked the calendar weeks ago with circles inside circles, red ink bleeding through the paper. On the square for her birthday, she'd scrawled one phrase so big it covered 3 days: inheritance activation. We'd taken away the drowning box, the candles, the needles. But Mom was always one step ahead. She'd been hiding extras in the coat closet, behind the washer, even taped to the underside of the dining room table. Every time we thought we'd cleared the house, she found another. The morning of her birthday, I woke to silence. Not the good kind. The kind that made my chest seize. I ran to the bathroom door. Locked. Mom. I called. No answer. Then I heard it, this wet, metallic sound that turned my stomach. I kicked the door 3 times before it splintered open. She was sitting on the tile floor, her back against the tub. A neat row of industrial needles jutted out from under her fingernails. Blood dripped in steady lines down her hands, pooling on the tile. She looked up at me and smiled. They're singing, she whispered. Do you hear them, Mason? They want out. My body locked up. For a second, I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Then Dad was there, grabbing her wrists, shouting her name. Lauren ran in behind him and screamed when she saw the blood. Caleb stayed in the hallway, frozen like a shadow. I dropped to my knees, yanked a towel from the rack, and wrapped her hands. Stop it, Mom. Please stop. But she fought us, thrashing, trying to push the needles deeper. If I free them, I'll be safe. If I free them, you'll all be safe. Lauren grabbed for the lighter on the sink, like she was about to burn herself right there just to prove loyalty. Dad had to rip it out of her hand. She sobbed, begging, she just wants to save us. Something in me broke. Watching my sister nearly throw herself into the fire for a mother who couldn't see us anymore, just the curse, I knew this had to end. I ran to Mom's bedroom, tore open her jewelry box, and found the pills she'd been pretending to take for weeks. Sedatives. She'd hidden them, saving them for moments like this. I crushed 2 into a glass of water, came back, and forced her to drink. She struggled, coughed, tried to spit it out, but exhaustion finally dragged her under. Her body went limp, the needle still lodged in her fingers. For the first time in years, the copper bell sat untouched on the counter. Silent. That night, we all slept in the living room together, me, Lauren, Caleb, Dad. Mom lay upstairs, her hands bandaged, her breath steady. She was Patricia again for a few hours. Just Patricia. But the silence scared me almost as much as the bell. Because I knew this wasn't over. The inheritance didn't end because we wished it away. It was in our blood, a ghost waiting for its turn. At 4:44 a.m., I woke up without the bell. My body jolted like it had learned to obey even in sleep. I stared at the ceiling, every nerve waiting for water, for fire, for needles. None came. And I realized, if we were going to survive this, it wouldn't be because of her preparations. It would be because we chose something different. Medicine instead of torture. Love instead of fear. The curse had fed on generations of pain. It would die with us if we were brave enough to let it. The copper bell still sat in the kitchen, waiting. Tomorrow, I would throw it away.